Welcome back to Overlord Anime Review Special number 4. Yeah, I know it's been a long time since I did one of these. I mean, the last time I did was back in November when I reviewed the 12th book for the series. Now we're on to the 13th book, The Paladin of the Sorcerer Kingdom, book number... part 2. Yes, as in the cover of Ainz versus the Demon King. This is a guy called Jacobo. Yes, this cover is pretty accurate. This battle does happen in the actual book itself. Now, I should point out, though, for some reason, Yen Press decided to rename stuff for some stupid reason. Ainz's title as the king of his country is referred to as the King of Darkness, even though in the anime and the official translation title is basically the Sorcerer King, and his country is called the Sorcerer Kingdom. Why the heck Yen Press decided to rename it to the Nation of Darkness, I have no idea. Also, CZ, aka Delta, yeah, she pops up in the book too. Her full name is basically it's Delta, the one kind of like a robot. Yeah, she pops up in this book, which that's a bit of a surprise. Yeah, especially as this character prior to this book. The weird thing about this particular Pleiade or battle maid per se, she doesn't do a lot in the books. And here, she plays a very good supporting role in this book, which is probably the first time I can think of she actually did anything in this series. Mostly put, a lot of the time we see her, she does very little in the series. Oh, in case you're curious though, do any of the Floor Guardians make appearance in this book? Yes, they do. Albedo makes a very brief appearance in this book for like one chapter. Demiurge appears twice in the book. He gets a good amount of dialogue in here. Now, as for what about the other Floor Guardians? Most of them are not even mentioned at all. Sheltair is briefly mentioned once. They even mentioned the Blue Rose, which is quite nice. There's a little bit of the Riez Kingdom in here. Now, the first part of the book continues where the last book left off, where you have Ainz with Nia. She's actually a new character introduced in the last book, where she's basically working with him, basically doing like liberation of her country. And of course, they had this upcoming battle with the Demon King. And of course, Ainz had to slip away to the tomb of Nazarick. I believe this is the first time Nazarick has actually physically appeared in the books, because I do not remember appearing in either book 10 or 11. I know it didn't appear in book number 12 because, well, basically they went to Riez, the capital. Which, this is probably the first time the Tomb of has been seen in this book series since book 9. Yes, the Tomb of Nazarick. It's not mentioned. It's not like, oh yeah, let's just have an offhand mention of the Tomb of Nazarick. No, we have a physical appearance of them actually going to the actual tomb and him having a brief conversation with Albedo and Demiurge about possibly having him fake his death. Which, having him die, Albedo doesn't like him very much, but basically she goes along and agrees just to fake his death. And then you have his battle with him, and then he apparently loses, where apparently it looks like he disappears in a place called the Albon Hills, which that's basically where he ends up in the book. And then from there, the whole book is focused on Nadja. And of course, Delta herself shows in the book. They renamed her to Shizuku for some reason. I'm like, when I saw the images basically what Shizuku looks like, it's frickin' Delta. Why the heck they changed him with this character, I have no idea. This character, there's no reason to name this character. I mean, okay. Now, let me show you what this character looks like. Yeah, for some reason, Yen Press decided to do this for some stupid reason. I do not know why. Let's see if I can find a good picture of her, because, well, her name is Delta. Or CZ. Not Shizuku. Let's see if I can find here. I mean, look. There she is. This is Shizuku. And I'm thinking, no, that's not her name. Her name is Delta. Like, did the people who basically translate this book not bother to do their research? Why the heck they changed her name for? I have no idea. Her full name is, get this. Okay, full name is CZ21, 2128 Delta, or CZ. Yes, that is her name, not Shizuku. Because I thought it was the raven hair woman. I thought it was her. The whole time when they mentioned her name, like, oh, is that the other one? No, it's Delta. For some reason, they changed her name. At least Albedo and Demiurge basically keep their freaking names. I mean, that's one thing I did not like about this book, is that they unnecessarily changed the name of a character in this book for, like, no reason at all. I don't mind the fact they give her plenty of screen, they give her plenty to do. That's great. I like the fact they do that because this character, like I said, doesn't do very much in the books. And I'm glad the fact she works here as a supporting character. And throughout along the way, Nadja, that's her name, and thank God that Yin Press didn't change her name, where she pretty much like frees a lot of people, and then of course she starts telling the good deeds about Ainz Al Ghul, what they refer to as the King of Darkness, even though that's not his title. Nope, his title is the Sorcerer King, and his kingdom is the Sorcerer Kingdom, not the Nation of Darkness. I am still perplexed of why Yin Press did this for, because I read the first 11 books online, and what do they refer to as the kingdom as? The Sorcerer Kingdom. And Ainz's title? The Sorcerer King. Not the King of Darkness, not the Nation of Darkness, the Sorcerer Kingdom. Okay, now I guess that people probably get away with basically changing the name of a country, but changing the name of a character really makes no sense at all. Especially since the way to describe her is like, oh, she's under control of Ainz. That's mostly true. I still not liking the fact. I basically refer to it as Delta. So, basically, Nadja basically builds a cult around basically Ainz. Basically, the fact that how awesome he is. And then they have, well, a big battle, of course, in the final chapter of this book. And, by the way, aside from the one brief scene Albedo was in, she's mentioned a few times after that, but she does not play a role in this book at all. Oh, no, she doesn't. Here's Demiurge. Demiurge plays a very brief role in the meeting. You see him there, and then he's mentioned a few times after that, and he appears again at the end of the book. I'm glad the fact they kept in the funny communication device they have in this series, which I'm so glad. It's the bunny ears, which I always thought that was hilarious. The fact that this is how they communicated. Yeah, sending communication via bunny ears. I thought that was so funny. Like, the first time I saw this was actually on Momon's partner. Like, that's the thing when it comes to him is like, okay, like, I'm trying to remember her name here. Nebro Gamma. That's her name. Yeah, she basically is, well, Ainz's partner when he's Momon. Mm-hmm. Which is great, the fact that they, Now, Lamborghini, she kind of appears in the book, but really she doesn't. They had this brief thing would have doppelgangers in here, which I thought that was kind of weird. Yeah, apparently they're the same size species as the Pandora's actor, who does make, like, I heard Pandora's actor, like, wait, wow, that's something. Like, I don't think he's been brought up in this series since, like, book 10. I'm like, why the heck you cut out a mention of Pandora's actor from these other books? I have no idea. So you have Lamborghini, who basically is supposed to watch over Carna Village. Yeah, they mentioned that she's watching over that. This is not actually her, and plus one other person who's a doppelganger. Of course, they work with Ainz, basically, to fake his death, obviously. And, of course, they built up the relationship between Nadja and Delta. Not Sezuku. That's not her name. They basically built this up. They basically built this relationship between these two ladies, well, as good friends over the course of 3 chapters, which I think is fantastic. I love the fact they do that. And then they have, well, Jauka would show up again, and it seems like battle's going well, and he shows up, and then all of a sudden Ainz returns with a big, humongous amount of reinforcements. Oh yeah, he also mentioned that he had annexed the Alberta Hills into his domain and like these people. And of course, after he deals with, he's like, oh hi Joker, you want to have a rematch? He's probably thinking, sure, why not? I thought I killed you already. So yeah, they fight and Ainz wins. it's very brief battle. Unlike before, it's done pretty well that they just probably cut off to someplace else. And of course, Ainz, when he sees the people who are with Notch, is like, who are these people? They're kind of in the way, they're your rescue team, and they kind of in a way are your cult. They're basically a lot of people who respect you. He's like, okay. I'm sure Albedo will probably have no problem with this group at all, especially as they recognize him as basically an awesome person. So why not? And after the Demon King, they have a lot of ceremonies, and of course, Ainz mentions, like, after the course battle, you lived the rulership of the meat of the rulership of the Abela Hills to Albedo. Give him something more to do. Plus, I love the fact they refer to her as a prime minister, because that's technically her title for the Sorcerer Kingdom. Which, don't have a problem with that. Yeah, she's not mentioned as the floor guardian anymore, like the chief floor guardian. Like, but she's a prime minister. Perfectly fine. I've got personal problem with that. Yep. And it's great, though. One thing I always got to praise this book is the fact we actually spent some time at Tomb of Nazarick. I mean, not just that brief meeting. There's actually a good about 20 pages they actually spent in the Tomb of Nazarick, which is great to see this place. And mention one of the worst, which the thing is, one of the 5 worst. This is probably the first time that I can think of them. They didn't show up in the last book. Oh no! But I'm glad the fact they give a little more of the supporting characters who are not one of the 4 Guardians. I'm glad they get something for them to do, which is perfectly fine. I at least got handed the fact that, well, this is still a good story. It's kind of weird, though, to read a story where basically it's the first book of the series where Ainz, like, his screen time in this book is so limited. He's there for the first chapter, like the first chapter of this book, and about halfway the second chapter he disappears, and the rest of the book is all Naja and Delta. By the way, excuse me. The chapter number for this book is a continuation of the chapters I used for book number 12. Oh, yes, and is there a pull-out art cover like was last book? Yes, there is. Here you go. On this one here, let's see if I can do it here. I believe these are the 5 worst, I think. I think that's who this is. And on the other side, it's Lebrigina, Demiurge, Albedo, and Ainz. Like, the way that Albedo was drawn here, it's like so weird. Like, her eyes are just so really big for like no reason. Ainz is like, what the heck is going on here? Yeah, there's also mention when he disappeared, like who's controlling the country. Like they say that this person is controlling the kingdom of the Sorcerer Kingdom. By the way, I give this book a 9 out of 10. It's a great book. I mean, the only negatives I have is the unnecessary name changes, but the story itself is really good. Yes, like, name changes, like I said, change the name of Ainz's country from the Sorcerer Kingdom to Nation of Darkness. His title from the Sorcerer King to the King of Darkness. That's not really a big of an issue. My big issue is changing the name of a character for no reason at all. Delta, I refer to her as Delta because that's part of her name, even though she's called CZ. They changed her name to Sezaku. That, in my opinion, was so dumb on the Impress to do. I mean, there's no reason for it. Oh, in case you're curious, though, unlike the last book, which came out basically in June of last year, and I didn't get a chance to read it until like November, this book came out like a month ago. Yes, a month ago. And I've just finished reading it. It took me a little while to read this thing. Like, it took me like a few days just to read this book, because this book is so long. This book is 378 pages, so it takes you a good long while to get through it. And here's something also I didn't like, though. Not much for illustrations by Son Bond. Yeah, the illustrator for this book is like, not much. Like, wow, it's like so little for him. Like, there's not much. You have basically the glorious, the fantastic images they use for the chapters. But aside from that, there is barely any in here. Yeah, I would have thought that they might have a few more pictures in here, but no, just the paintings. I thought that was kind of weird. Like, there's no explanation for that at all. And of course, according to the writer of the series, Kugan Maruma, he says he wanted to do like one more part of this, And the only reason this book is so long, because originally it's supposed to be 2 more books. Basically, half this book is supposed to be book 13, and the other half is book 14. 14 is a completely different story altogether. Yeah. In case you're curious, though, what is the name of the 14th book for the series? The name of the 14th book is, if I can get to the right page here, it is called Witch of the Fallen Kingdom. That is the name of the 13th book for the series. 14th book, excuse me. Oh, they just released the name of the title for the 15th book, which has not been released yet. It's called the Half-Wood Elf God... Half-Wood Elf Godkin. Now, I should make an announcement when it comes to this particular thing, because this was announced like late last year. I think I may have made this announcement last time. I don't remember. But the thing is, it was announced last year by Crunchyroll. Yes, Crunchyroll announced this. I found from them first that there's going to be about 3 more books released for Overlord, and that's it. Yeah, it's basically been announced that the series is going to end after book 17. Yeah, 17 is going to be the last book for the series. Oh yeah, in case you're curious though, when was the book released in Japan? 3 years ago. I'm not kidding about that. It's been like 3 years since the 13th books were released here. Yeah, this book was released on April 27th, 2018. In Japan, this was 574 pages. Though the English translation of this book's actually a lot shorter, like 200 pages shorter. Now, the most recent book for the series, book 14, that came out this past March. Actually, it was March of last year. So, I don't know when this book is released. I have no honest idea. Because, well, for some reason, we have to wait a year between releases for, like, some unexplained reason. I don't know why. But that's basically what it is. Now, you might be asking, Nick, do I know about the announcement, or the other announcement for Overlord? Yes, I do. Overlord is getting a season 4 and a movie, which is great. Which means they'll probably cover books 10 to 13. Yes. My guess is that they're probably going to go cover books 10 and 11 definitely in the season. And 12, probably cover 13 for a movie. Because basically, based on how much action, how much development's on this thing, we might have a 2-part movie on our hands. But who knows? It depends on what they're going to do for it. Of course, by Madhouse. Yeah, and here's the thing. As of right now, it's officially been 3 years since the last episode of the series aired. And that was episode 39 overall for the series for season 3. Yep. But not much to say about this book. It's good. I think the changes, the character name change was unnecessary, along with some titles of country. I didn't really care for it. But the story itself is good. Did have a problem with the fact with the very limited screen time that Ain's got in this book. Not necessarily. Naja is definitely an interesting character in the book, so I at least got to praise the fact that the writer was very interesting. And the fact we had Delta as basically a primary character in this book. Her name is not Sezuku, the Empress. It's Delta. Call her CZ. Sezuku is not her freaking name. When you release the next book, please change her name back to her official name that the Funimation dub refer to it as. Like, heck, even in Japan, they probably refer to it by this name. Not Sezuku. Like, that's not her name. It's frickin' Delta. Or CZ. Call her that. Not this other name. It's stupid. Yep. Otherwise, though, that's pretty much it for this particular video. Stay tuned for the next video, which will be a review of the newest chapter of Black Clover. And then I'm also going to do Eden Zero, My Hero Academia, One Piece, and Boruto. Okay? See you next video. Bye.